Hey everybody, welcome back. Guess what we're reading? New York Times bestseller. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. So good, so good. All right, we're on page 83, and let's just jump into it. Jefferson's political education continued during a spirited session when the House of Burgess met in Williamsburg in June 1775, while the House considered conciliatory proposals from London. 3 Virginia colonists trying to break into the powder magazine were wounded by a shotgun rigged to fire if the magazine were tampered with. Oh, I didn't know you could rig a shotgun to do that. Dunmore felt the situation so precarious, and his security so tenuous, that he and his family left Williamsburg seeking refuge aboard the HMS Fowey. So cool to know the names of these ships. Around Saturday, June 10, 1775, Jefferson replied to London's conciliatory proposal on behalf of Virginia. Despite the passions of the hour, a fleeing royal governor, skirmishes over gunpowder, and fear of slave rebellion, Jefferson took a measured tone, saying that the Virginians had examined it minutely. We viewed it in every point of light in which we were able to place it, and with pain and disappointment we most ultimately declare it only changes the form of oppression, without lightening its burden. Others in Virginia were not so certain. As Jefferson recalled it, Robert Carter Nicholas and James Mercer, a lawyer from Stafford County, were more open to talk of reconciliation with London than was either Jefferson or, more important, Peyton Randolph, Robert Carter Nicholas, James Mercer, who believed Virginia should take a stronger revolutionary stance. In a sign of his standing with Peyton Randolph, Jefferson was asked to draft the House response for Randolph. Feared that Mr. Nicholas, whose mind was not yet up to the mark of the times, would undertake the answer, with Jefferson's text as the starting point. Randolph was able to exert a greater level of control than if Nicholas had been the initial author. It was still a contentious argument, even after the Boston Tea Party, and after Lexington and Concord, remember that was the battle, after the Dunmore and gunpowder affair, another event, and talk of arming slaves, a permanent separation from Great Britain was a matter of intense debate for Jefferson and his contemporaries. How history kind of repeats itself. Divided opinion was a recurring fact of life for Jefferson in these years of political formation. He came of age amid conflict, kind of like our people today. The children born in 2001, they've lived while we've been at war, and then people who were like my age in the 30s, well, I'm just 30, but people like 27-ish, 30-ish, they've had the 2008 housing crisis, which was the Great Recession. I mean, there's a lot going on, like economic-wise. And then now with the COVID collapse, people are coming of age in conflict and economic depression. Not certitude. To him, statecraft, I like this word, statecraft, was always a struggle between passionately held points of view, smooth marches of like minds to glorious conclusions may have been the stuff of his dreams, but reality was far different, and it was reality that concerted him most. Randolph shepherded Jefferson's draft through the assembly. There were, Jefferson said, long and doubtful scruples from Mr. Nicholas and James Mercer, a dash of cold water on it here and there, enfeebling it somewhat. But it finally passed. For Jefferson and Randolph, the key point was unity among the colonies. Such unity was on Jefferson's mind, for he was to take his place on the nation stage at last. He left Williamsburg for the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia, and on Sunday, June 11, 1775, a larger world beckoned. Okay, Chapter 8. The famous Mr. Jefferson. There's a quote here from Jefferson. Both of them will be from Jefferson. As our enemies have found, we can reason like men. So now, let us show them we can fight like men also. Snappy. Hear the quote? The present crisis is so full of danger and uncertainty that opinions here are various. I mean, when are opinions not various? Yeah. Lodging on Chestnut between 3rd and 4th Street in Philadelphia, Philly, where the Continental Congress was meeting, the Pennsylvania State House, later known as Independence Hall, Jefferson effortlessly entered the flow of things. He sent accounts of military situation to Virginia. He looked over Benjamin Franklin's proposal for Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. I love Benjamin Franklin's work, man. I need to buy one of his book. His Poor Richard book. It has all his sayings in it. He recorded the financial and military estimates for continental defense. In a way, he had been preparing for this hour and for this work since he first stood in the lobby of the house of Burgess in Williamsburg. Listening, rapt, to Patrick Henry a decade before, there had been the glittering evenings in Faukier's palace, full of music and ideas, the golden years in the White House, immersed in law and history, the apprenticeship in politics under Peyton Randolph in the Raleigh Tavern, watching and learning. Yes, you have to watch, you have to learn. The Jefferson style, cultivate his elders, make himself pleasant to his contemporaries, and use his pen and his intellect to shape the debate, armed him well for the national arena. He was no longer in Williamsburg or Richmond, but he felt at home. Using your intellect to shape the debate. In Virginia, Jefferson had known everything and everyone. In sensations of Congress in Philadelphia, in the hours of walking the city, he encountered new ideas, new people, and new forces. Philadelphians, said the Anglican clergyman William Smith, were a people thrown together from various quarters of the world, differing in all things, languages, manners, and sentiment, kind of like Washington, D.C. today, and New York, and San Francisco. Another clergyman, Jacob Duché, said, the poorest laborer upon the shore of the Delaware thinks himself entitled to deliver his sentiments in matters of religion and politics with as much freedom as the gentleman or the scholar, for every man expects one day or another to be upon a footing with his wealthiest neighbor. Jacob Duché said that? I wonder if I hope he's not saying it like mocking-wise. The poorest laborer, right? He's entitled to deliver sentiments. So when people say, let politicians take care of it, let the experts take care of it, only do this, only do that, it's good to listen to both. That doesn't mean you silence the masses, essentially. That's anti-American, right? As we can see here, as much freedom as the gentleman. It's quite clear, right? You don't always do the appeal to authority fallacy. In certain manners, yes, and others, no. In Philadelphia, Jefferson was caught up in a whirlwind of war and the rumors of war. Kind of like today. One minute we're going to go to war with North Korea, one time with Russia, another with Syria, another with Iran, and now with China. John Adams of Massachusetts had proposed the appointment of George Washington of Virginia as commanding general for the Continental Forces, a choice the Congress approved on Thursday, June 15th, 1775. 2 days later came the battle at Bunker Hill in Boston. What Jefferson had heard Patrick Henry assert in the nave of St. John's Church. The nave is like the front part of the church. It's like 250 miles south of Philadelphia in March was now fact. There was no peace. The nave of the church. I took a class and it had like this really cool, we went through the whole Gothic period of cathedrals architectural wise. It was really cool. I probably couldn't, if you showed me a layout architecturally, we had to like label it, like what every part was called. I probably couldn't do it as well anymore. But it was really interesting how they were designed. The flaming buttresses, The flying buttresses, not flaming buttresses. See? Architecture is very cool. I like Baroque architecture, and I like ancient Roman and Greek, Macedonian architecture. And like when it comes to like more modern architecture, like a log cabin architecture is very nice. I don't like the super uber modern architecture that looks kind of like spacey, like square, lots of glass, like sharp angles. No. And I don't really like the weird ones that are like those homes that are just like a circle. It's a little weird, But yeah, interesting. And the nave, but it's cool because in the belly, because when he says the nave, it's like he gives you this connotation of the belly, in the belly of the revolution. Interesting. St. John's Church. 250 miles south of Philly. It's quite far from Philly. I never went to that church. Interesting. George Washington of Virginia. He is the commanding general for the Continental Forces. George Washington. Alright, family. Hope you learned a lot.